Have you ever wondered who makes the rules? Why you have to go to school? Or why cars have to stop at red lights? That's all part of a political system. A political system, or a government, is just the way a group of people organizes itself to make decisions, keep things orderly, and protect everyone. In this video, we're going to break down the political system of the United States. It might sound complicated, but it's really just a set of big ideas and rules that were created to help people live together. We'll be looking at the Constitution, the different parts of our government, and most importantly, the role you play in all of it. So what is a government really? Imagine you and your friends are stuck on a desert island. At first, it's chaos, but soon you'd probably agree on rules, right? Like who builds the shelter, who gathers food, and a rule against stealing. You've just created a mini government. On a massive scale, that's what a government does. It's the organization that has the authority to make laws, like traffic laws or rules for businesses. It also provides services we all share, like building roads, funding schools, and having a police force for security. Its main job is to manage the community and protect the rights of the people living in it. Not all governments work the same way. The three main types you'll hear about are democracy, monarchy, and dictatorship. A democracy is a system where the people hold the power. Think of it like a classroom voting on where to go for a field trip. The majority wins. The ancient city of Athens was a direct democracy, where citizens voted on every single law. A monarchy is when one person, like a king or queen, rules the country, and that power is usually inherited, passed down through the family. A dictatorship is also ruled by one person or a small group, but they often take power by force and don't allow any disagreement. The key difference is always about one question: where does the power come from? So what is the United States? We're a bit of a mix. We are a democracy because citizens get to vote for their leaders and laws. But we're not a direct democracy. You don't vote on every single law yourself. That would be impossible with 330 million people. Instead, we are a republic. This means we elect people, like senators, members of Congress, and the president, to go to Washington, D.C. and make decisions for us. They represent us. That's why our system is best called a democratic republic or a constitutional republic, because that whole system is written down in one big rulebook, the Constitution. The Founding Fathers didn't just invent the U.S. government out of thin air. They borrowed ideas from all over. A big influence was a period called the Enlightenment, where thinkers like John Locke came up with revolutionary ideas. Locke argued that every person is born with natural rights to life, liberty, and property, and that the whole purpose of government is to protect those rights. They also looked at history. They saw the Magna Carta from 1215, a document that forced the King of England to follow the law. It showed that a ruler's power could be limited. This, plus their own bad experiences with the British king, made them want to create a government that was strong, but not too strong. Before they could build a government, the colonists had to declare why they were leaving Great Britain in the first place. That's what the Declaration of Independence is. It's not a rulebook. It's a breakup letter that lists all their complaints against the king. But it's famous for its opening lines, which are the ultimate summary of American ideals. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. It also says that governments get their power from the consent of the governed. This was a radical idea. It means the government works for us. We don't work for it. After winning the Revolutionary War, the new states needed a government. Their first attempt was called the Articles of Confederation. But everyone was so afraid of a strong central government, like the king they just escaped, that they made the new government incredibly weak. Imagine a group project where all 13 partners want to do their own thing. The team leader, the central government, couldn't make anyone pay for supplies, taxes, or even get everyone to show up, raise an army. It was a disaster. The states argued and nothing got done. It quickly became clear that this wasn't working. Recognizing the failure, leaders from the 13 states met in Philadelphia in 1787. Their goal was just to fix the articles, but they ended up throwing them out and starting over. The result was the United States Constitution. This document is the supreme law of the land, meaning no law, no person, and no president is more powerful than it. It created a much stronger federal government, but also cleverly balanced power so it couldn't become a tyranny. It's called a living document because it's not set in stone. It can be formally changed or amended as our country grows and changes over time. The preamble is the Constitution's mission statement. It starts with the three most important words in American government: we the people. This immediately states that the power isn't coming from a king or a god, but from the citizens themselves. The rest of the preamble lists 6 goals for this new government. It's supposed to form a more perfect union, better than the Articles, establish justice, create a fair legal system, ensure domestic tranquility, keep the peace at home, provide for the common defense, protect from outside enemies, promote the general welfare, help make life better for everyone, and secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and all future generations. The Constitution's first big idea for limiting power is called separation of powers. The founders didn't want one person or group to have all the power, so they split the federal government's job into 3 equal parts, or branches. The legislative branch is Congress, and their job is to make the laws. The executive branch is the president, and their job is to enforce or carry out the laws. Then the judicial branch is the Supreme Court and other courts, and their job is to interpret the laws and the Constitution. Each branch has its own distinct job, and they are supposed to stay in their own lanes. Let's look at Branch 1, Congress. This is the Mix the Laws branch. Congress itself is split into 2 parts, or chambers. The first is the House of Representatives. The number of representatives each state gets is based on its population. So a big state like California has way more members than a small state like Wyoming. The second part is the Senate. Here, every single state gets 2 senators, no matter its size. This was a compromise to protect the small states and make sure they had an equal voice. Together, the House and Senate write and vote on all federal laws, and they also control all government spending, a huge power known as the power of the purse. Next is Branch 2, the executive. This is the enforces the laws branch. When you think of this branch, you probably think of the president. The president is the head of the executive branch and is responsible for making sure the government runs, the laws are followed, and the country is protected. The president is also the commander-in-chief of the entire military. But they don't work alone. They have the vice president and a group of advisors called the cabinet, the heads of big departments like the Department of Education or the Department of Defense, who all help carry out the laws that Congress passes. Finally, Branch 3, the judicial. This is the interprets the laws branch. This branch is made up of the federal court system, with the Supreme Court at the very top. Their job is to be the referee. When there's a disagreement about what a law means, or whether a law is fair, the courts decide. The Supreme Court is made up of 9 judges, called justices, who are appointed for life. Their biggest power is called judicial review. This is the power to look at a law passed by Congress, or an action taken by the president, and declare it unconstitutional, meaning it violates the Constitution. If they do that, the law is struck down. So how do these branches actually work together? Let's trace how a bill becomes a law. First, a member of Congress has an idea. They write it down as a bill and introduce it in either the House or the Senate. It gets debated and voted on. Let's say it passes the House. It then has to go to the Senate to be debated and passed there too. Both chambers must agree on the exact same version. Once it passes both the House and the Senate, it goes to the president's desk. If the president signs it, it becomes a law. But the president can also veto it, which is a formal rejection. If that happens, the bill is dead, unless Congress can get a 2/3 majority in both chambers to vote to override the veto, which is very difficult to do. This brings us to the next big idea: checks and balances. The founders wanted to make sure the three branches stayed equal, so they gave each branch specific ways to check or limit the power of the other two. It's like a game of rock, paper, scissors. We just talked about one. The president, executive, can veto a bill from Congress, legislative. That's a check. But Congress, legislative, can override that veto. That's a check back. Congress can also impeach a president or a judge. The Supreme Court, judicial, can check both of them by declaring a law unconstitutional. This system forces them to cooperate and compromise. A last big idea is called federalism. This is just the fancy word for the power-sharing agreement between the national government in Washington, D.C. and the 50 state governments. The Constitution is like a to-do list that divides up the jobs. Some powers, like declaring war or printing money, are given only to the federal government. Other powers, called reserved powers, are left just for the states, like creating schools or issuing driver's licenses. And some powers, like collecting taxes or building roads, are shared by both. This system allows states to be different and create laws that work for their own people, while still being part of one unified country. When the Constitution was first written, some people were worried. They felt it made the new federal government too strong and didn't do enough to protect the rights of individual citizens. To solve this, James Madison wrote a list of 10 amendments, or changes, which were added almost immediately. We call this the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights isn't a list of things the government gives you. It's a list of rights you are born with that the government is not allowed to take away. It guarantees your freedoms from government interference. The most famous of these is the First Amendment. It's a bundle of 5 essential freedoms. First is freedom of religion. The government can't tell you what to believe. Second is freedom of speech. You can criticize the government without being thrown in jail. Third is freedom of the press, which allows journalists to report the truth, even if it makes politicians look bad. Fourth is freedom of assembly, which is your right to gather in peaceful groups or protests. And fifth is the right to petition the government, which is a formal way to complain and ask for change. These 5 freedoms are the bedrock of American democracy. The Constitution starts with "we the people." That means the system doesn't run itself. It's powered by its citizens. So what's our job in all this? The most obvious one is to vote when you turn 18. This is how you choose your representatives and have a direct say in how the government is run. But our responsibilities don't end there. Citizens are also responsible for obeying the laws, paying taxes to fund public services, and, if called, serving on a jury to ensure a fair trial for others. And maybe the most important but unofficial job is just to stay informed. You can't make good decisions as a voter if you don't know what's going on. So why should you care about all this? It might seem like a bunch of old rules written by guys in powdered wigs, but this system is all around you. The laws made in Congress can affect the internet you use, the food you eat, and the school you go to. The decisions made by the president affect our relationship with the whole world. The rulings by the Supreme Court define your rights as an individual. The political system isn't just history. It's happening right now. It determines the rules we all live by. Understanding how it works is the only way you can one day participate in it, make your voice heard, and maybe even change it for the better. The whole system is waiting for you to be the we in We the People.